you teach that?
Getting up from the lowest point is the most gratifying experience anyone can experience in their life, whether they participate in sports or not. It's just that excitement comes from digging. Getting up from the lowest point is the most gratifying experience anyone can experience in their life, whether they participate in sports or not. It's just a surge of excitement that comes from using a reserve of strength that you think does not even exist in your body, which provides you with the ultimate emotional disbalance. Hi there, welcome to MMA Finest, and today we'll be speaking about the top 10 most craziest comebacks in MMA. Please make sure to watch to the end to see the best submissions and following comebacks in the game. Also subscribe to our channel and don't miss any updates. Whether it's getting good results in an exam you think you will fail or hitting a black belt in the gym after he whipped you throughout the sparring session, it's incredible to come back from the brink of failure. In UFC alone, we have seen some incredible reversals, which have completely turned the tide of battle in the opposite direction of the way forward. With that being said, let's finally have a look at the ultimate best of all MMA comebacks. 10. Mike Russow vs. Todd Duffee, UFC 114. If you look at these two fighters face to face, you won't even think that they are the same species. Todd Duffee is a chiseled Adonis who looks incredible in the heavyweight category. In contrast, Russow's body looks more like Mick Foley and less like Stephanie Foley. In the 2.5 rounds, Duffee got rid of a weak knockdown attempt and hit Russow in the face with one punch after another. As the third round came, Duffee was looking for a decision. All he had to do was, he was hit. Russow started the action with a correct straight line, squashed Duffee and shattered the idea of Duffee becoming the next big man in the heavyweight division. 9. Scott Smith vs. Pete Sell, Ultimate Fighter 4 Finale. In a very typical UFC mid-2000 high-profile game, despite hugging in the middle of the game, the two were attacking each other against the haymakers, hardly considering their health. It was not common at the time to shoot physically, and Sell shocked Smith in the second round. Smith has finished, and Searle knows this, so he ran in to finish his injured prey, but Smith has not yet gone out. Smith rushed from the pit of his spirit and knocked out Searle. After the shot, Smith finally turned over because of the pain of his physical shot, but his job was done. He completed one of the best comebacks ever. 8. Alistair Overeem vs. Antonio Silva, UFC 156. At every incredible moment in Alistair Overeem's career, he always has a completely clear-headed move to balance the ongoing stage play, the Demolition Man. At UFC 156, Overeem returned to the game after failing to pass the drug test before the scheduled UFC 146 championship battle with Juvenal dos Santos. Although his opponent is a huge beast known as Bigfoot Silva, most people think Overeem will overthrow him today JDS again. Overeem knocked him down in the first 2 rounds, attacked and slipped Bigfoot. Overeem has been fighting with his head down for a long time and has not been punished for it. Once the giant realized that the genetic freak was punished like everyone else, Silva burst from the stool in the 3rd round and cried to Overeem on the fence until the ring collapsed. The scary image of an angry beast yelling at the fallen opponent is one of the best images in MMA and the result of one of the best comebacks. 7. Frankie Edgar vs. Maynard, UFC 125. On New Year's Day 2011, Frankie Edgar competed with Maynard, the only person to beat him for the title. Since this is a wrestling match, people have low expectations for this fight, but the boys are experts. A few minutes after the start of the first round, Maynard knocked him out with a left uppercut, knocking out the lightweight champion and flipping Edgar backwards. Maynard will knock down his opponent twice in a round, but he cannot be completely sure of the decisive shot that knocked him down. At the beginning of the second round, Edgar clamped Maynard with his fists, threatened and defeated stronger wrestlers with a guillotine in the 4th round, thus reviving himself. When the smoke cleared, the battle was declared a tie, which disappointed both sides, but there was no doubt that Frankie Edgar showed incredible resilience. 6. Matt Hughes vs. Frank Trigg, UFC 52. In the first rematch, Matt Hughes and Frank Trigger will eventually compete for Hughes' welterweight title at UFC 52. The competition was fierce. In the battle, Trigg brought the jewelry from his home to his knees and continued to attack Hughes. Trigg knocked Hughes down with a punch, then jumped on his back, suffocating naked behind him. But Hughes wouldn't let his nemesis beat him, so purely out of the will, Hughes changed his position, picked up Trigg with his legs, and slammed into him as he ran across the mat. Everything is gravy afterwards because Hughes fell into a suffocation, but the most important thing is that Hughes recovered from the nut shot. Come on, it's damn impressive. 5. Brock Lesnar vs. Carwin, UFC 116. Carwin has terrible power, and he has previously knocked down Frank Mill with an inch of fist and the power that made Bruce Lee jealous. Before this game, Brock Lesnar looked almost unstoppable because no one had hurt him, and his only loss came from a lightning submission. Carwin bashed Lesnar with some of the most vicious blows he had ever seen in the octagon. making Lesnar horrified when he opened the door. After being destroyed by Kevin, Lesnar walked out of the corner with a smile on his face. Lesnar shot for his horrible legs, knocked Carwin down, and quickly submitted it to him with triangular arms. After experiencing one of the worst wrestling in MMA history, Brock Lesnar is truly the worst person on the planet. 4. Travis Browne vs. Alistair Overeem, UFC Fight Night 26. Alistair Overeem's career or his opponents have been bombed into different dimensions through fists and fast trains under their feet. After defeating the UFC champion in the last game against Bigfoot Silva, he can't make another mental error in the next game, right? Incorrect. In the heavyweight tilt, Overeem rushed down and pushed Browne down on the fence and established a Muay Thai clinic by demolishing Travis Browne's body. Through some miracles, Browne survived the onslaught and counterattacked with a forward kick. He landed one. Alistair should adjust. He landed another. Damn, Alistair should move sideways. 3. During the third front kick, Alistair stumbled on the mat. Browne used 2 insidious hammer punches to complete the transaction, closing OVM's dream of a championship again. 3. Cheick Kongo vs. Pat Barry, UFC on Versus 4. The Versus channel doesn't host many UFC events, but the events they host are quite good, and the best one is a modern classic, the heavyweight competition between Cheick Kongo and Pat Barry. The 2 Taekwondo athletes before entering mixed martial arts seem to have everything the promoters wanted in the main event, but no initiator on earth can predict what they will see. In the first 2 minutes of the first round, Barry knocked Kongo down with a right uppercut. This seems to be done because most heavyweight players can stand up for such a shot, but no, Kongo will use spaghetti somehow. The leg stood up but fell and got another right uppercut again. King Kong is like a zombie crawling out of the grave, standing up with the power of the cage. Barry forgot his defense and continued to hunt down, but in the process of doing so, Kongo met Barry, hit Barry directly to shock Barry, and then hit HD with a right uppercut. In one of the craziest UFC games ever, Kongo still knocked down another Taekwondo player on his shaking leg. 2. Frank Mir vs. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, UFC 140. Frank Mir and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira are 2 of the best grappling players in the history of the heavyweight league, so it's fair to expect a fierce fighting game. Nogueira contacted Staphylococcus in the first game and performed better than his first game against Mill. He did this because Minotaurus hit a series of combinations violently, which caused Mir to fall and put him on all fours. Mir was in an absolute worst position. He was stunned and his neck suffocated easily. When Nogueira was sent to the guillotine, Mill somehow broke away from it and eventually reached the top of the Pride Legend. Controlling from the side, Mir jumped onto Nogueira's loose arm and turned on Kimura until he could no longer turn. 2 rolls forward failed to save the fabulous beats from Brazil. Frank Mill went from the worst position to the best position, and Frank Mill submitted Antonio Rodrigo and Nogueira. It was simply insanity, almost impossible to overcome. 1. Anderson Silva vs. Chael Sonnen, UFC 117. In this match, Silva had to endure 4 rounds of offense from Chael Sonnen, which would make anyone uneasy. Sonnen has the answer to everything Anderson has tried. He knocked Silva down with a punch in the first game and didn't slip until Silva elbowed his elbow in the 4th game. Sonnen recovered from it. In the 5th round, Silva had no reason to believe that he could not fight Sonnen with all his strength in the first round. Fortunately for the Spiders, the gangsters in Oregon slowed down a bit. He put his arms in the championship guard. In the final effort, Silva raised his legs for triangular suffocation, squeezing as if his life depended on it. Sonnen tried to free himself from the spiderweb. Although he was inspired, it only failed. Anderson Silva defeated the man who almost stole his inheritance, title, and reputation, and his scalp was full of testosterone. All of this was done with scarred ribs. It's impossible to see anyone can achieve a comeback like this. This was all about it. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like it and advise our channel MMA Finest. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section.